You see, so knowing what channel your team is on will give you the greatest information that you can have as a leader. It's really understanding what is that first line of communication that you can start with. All right, welcome back to the show. My name is Paul Mossman, and you're listening to Leader Seeds Podcasts. I'll be your podcast host here, and these episodes go for about 20 minutes on the average. Today's one will be about the same. Today, you'll be listening to the absolutely most important part to start with when you're thinking communication as a leader. You see, communication is a big topic, especially when you're trying to build a team. And most people get stuck because they don't know where to start. Today, I'll be talking exactly about that process. What has helped me, what I've discovered. I'd say I've done this probably exceptionally well. This is probably one of the strengths that I have. So I'll be sharing with you a strength of mine in leadership, but also how I help other people develop this strength too. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a quick pause to listen to one of our sponsors for today's show. All right, so we're back. We're so grateful for the sponsors for the show here. We're getting a few more in, so you're going to hear much more of that variety that's coming in right now. But we're really grateful for the sponsors. They really help keep this show growing, not just in size, but also in the different ways that we can offer different ways for you to view this content and listen to it. We started this with literally just a phone in my hand. I'm not too sure if any of you know this, but literally just a phone in my hand as I sat down. No camera, no fancy mic, no studio, nothing. Just a phone in my hand is how we started this podcast. And to see how it continued to grow and reach more and more people is just an awesome journey to be a part of. It really is. It really is. And you actually listening in, giving feedback, leaving your reviews on Apple, and just kind of playing all out, going out there and not just listening to the content, but actually implementing it, sharing your growth with us. All of that really ties into a healthy and engaged leadership community. So I want to thank you before we move forward. And if it's the first time that you're listening to this, I want to invite you in to that healthy leadership community. Today, we're going to spend about 20 minutes and we're going to have a really good conversation right now. And I do say conversation. I know you're thinking, who are you talking to in this podcast? I'm talking to you. I want you to listen to this as if we are really having a conversation, because the truth is right now you're listening to a recording, right? But at the same time, there's going to be ways that you can reach out to me directly. And I've done this for quite a few of you already, where we actually jump on a one-on-one and we have a good face-to-face conversation, right? We talk things through, and the heart is we want to make these real for you, right? So we do the best on these recorded sessions. But if there's a question stirring on your heart, if there's an obstacle that you're facing when you listen to these principles, I don't want you to stay there. We offer these ways for you to connect because I don't want you to be stuck in that principle. There's ways that we can overcome it together. So without further ado, I'm going to jump in it today. Like I said in the beginning, this has been a strength of mine. This has been something that I've done exceptionally well. I've been told by others, I'm not boasting. This is just something that, we do some things well and we do other things that we can not so well, I should say, right? This is something that I've got great feedback on and I really enjoy, which is kind of like a double win, right? It's really good when you can do something really, really well and you enjoy it, right? I really enjoy this principle that I'm going to share with you today. And it's about really, where does your communication start? If you're in a leadership space right now, if you're in a leadership role, right? We always have challenges, right? We're working with people a lot. There's always a challenge, right? And as a leader, you should know this. We should celebrate challenges, right? Because that's why there's leaders, right? Because there's challenges. If there was absolutely no challenges, there would be no need for a leader. So when we have these challenges is really understanding where is it starting from? What's the core of these challenges, right? Because if we just go out every day and we just address symptoms, we never fix the issue. We never really develop what's trying to get our attention, right? And a lot of times we think it's people problems. I don't know if you've ever thought that or if someone ever told it to you, but I would hear that a lot in leadership circles, right? It's always people problems, right? Why isn't my people doing this? Or how do I keep my people motivated? Or, why don't my people want to grow? Or, why don't, this, people. And the truth is, when we really sit down, the core of it isn't people problems. It's communication problems. If you write it notes down, that's going to be your first note. It's when you think it's people problems, it's actually communication problems. And as the leader, knowing where to start will really help not just you grow, or it will really help you grow united as a team. So this is the bare minimum standard. If I'm working with somebody and we start talking about communication, this is the first thing on my mind. This is the first question I'm asking. This is the checkpoint that we're making sure that this is solid. Like I start asking about this question, I start asking about these meetings that they're having, and I really make sure that this is solid, because anything else after this, if we move over this too quickly, everything else will collapse. In my experience, it did, and I just see it over and over and over. When we try to move over this too quickly, everything else just crumbles, right? That's how important this is. And what I'm talking about is your one-on-one meetings, right? It's your one-to-one meetings. Now, when we're thinking effective, we don't like this. Come on, right? If you're thinking productivity, you don't like this because you're like, wait, I'm going to spend 60 minutes or however long this meeting with just one other person. Like, why can't I do something that I can, inspire and motivate or lead more than one person, Paul Keller? That's not effective. I want to be more effective with my time, and I get it. But hear me on this. Hear me. Like I said, it might seem more effective, but that's why you have communication challenges, because you're skipping this foundational part. You see, what happens is that we see these leaders that develop this first part, and we see them being effective and using leverage to communicate to their entire team, and we want that, right? But we don't see what they've done to get there. And I'm telling you today, this is what they've done. This is what they've done to get there. When they can communicate to an entire staff, to much more people at one time, right? When they can do that effectively, it's because they've set this step properly. And it's really knowing how to better or improve your skill of one-to-one meetings. So when we start here, I want to tell you this: your one-on-one meetings are not just you and your staff. That's the biggest mistake people make right there, is they usually start where it's like, okay, I'm going to schedule one-on-one meetings with the people that report to me. No, remember, we're talking communication. We're not talking hierarchy. We're not talking organizational chart. We're talking communication. And if you're honest, you don't just communicate to those that report to you, right? So when we're talking communication, rather than just seeing it like, okay, I'm going to look down or I'm going to look to the people that report to me. No. I want you to see yourself in the center and then do a dotted line right around, right? So if you're watching video right here, see yourself on the center, see my finger? And if you did a dotted line all around that circle, that center, that's your first line of communication. Now, when you think of your first line of communication, you're going to think of one. You're going to think of the people you report to. That might be your boss. That might be your executive team. That might be the boss, the CEO. If you are the boss, this is going to be your investors or your stakeholders or your council, or you know what I mean? Or if you're like a solo, this is your customers. You report to them. Come on, come on, right? If you're a kingdom entrepreneur, right? This is your time that you spend with God, right? It's who you report to, right? Remember, first line of communication. We're not talking about, a lot of times people just start to think of organizational chart. No, 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 no. First line of communication is who are you communicating to that has more responsibility than you, right? That's the first line of communication. Now, as we continue on that dotted line around, who's your first line of communication with your coworkers? See, most people don't think of that. Most people don't think of one-on-one meetings with my coworkers. Paul Keller, what? No, you're wasting my time. No, no, no. Like I said, hear me on this. There's going to be times when you have to partner with them. You have to work with them. There's going to be two departments that's working together, or there'll be, there's going to be times that you're going to have to communicate well with your coworkers. Come on. Why don't we invest the time to have one-on-one meetings with our coworkers? That's your first level of communication. Now, it might not be every single coworker, but who is it that you communicate most closely with, right? So you're thinking about who has more responsibility than you, right? Who has more responsibility than you? Who do you report to? Also, you're thinking about your coworkers, and then you're also thinking about who reports to you, right? This might be your staff. This might be your volunteers. This might even be your customers, right? Maybe you're at an entry level position to start, and the only people that report to you is your customers, right? Wait, do I have one-on-one meetings with customers? Yes, absolutely. You know how much they'd be surprised when you reach out and just, it doesn't have to be a 60-minute meeting. I'll go over the framework with it here, but I want you to capture this. Remember, we're talking first line of communication. First line of communication. Why this is a sweet spot, I'm going to tell you this right now. Be ready for this, because this is another one you want to capture and write a note down. Why this is a sweet spot is because in today's world, technology is growing faster than ever, right? And the technology is finding ways to do what humans could do before. But if you look at it, technology will always replace the tasks that a human can do. But in leadership, this part, when you're talking about communication as a leader, this isn't a task to do. This is a connection that you make. And technology will never make the connection that you can make with another person. Never. Technology will never make the connection that you can make with another person. So understand, especially in today's world, as technology keeps growing, there's going to be more tasks that can be done by technology. And I think at the end of the day, it's a good thing, right? It's how we grow. It's innovation. We just have to keep adjusting and growing as leaders, keep our minds open and understand, how do I keep growing? Now, in communication, that's why this is a sweet spot, because technology cannot connect like how you can connect with a person. When you're talking to this first line of communication, these one-on-one meetings will serve you greatest in the difficult times. You see, it's those difficult times that you have to tell your boss something that they don't want to hear. It's the difficult times when you have to tell your coworker something that they was wishing for another outcome, right? It's the difficult times when you have to disapprove of a request from one of your staff members and you know that they're not going to like it. But why would they still be willing to support you? Because you've taken the time for these one-on-one meetings. Now, there's going to be pushback sometimes with this, because not everybody's going to be open to it. Some bosses aren't going to be open to it. Some coworkers aren't going to be open to it. Some staff isn't going to be open to it. Your assignment as a leader is not to force these meetings, but it is to initiate them and to be available for them. That's it. You initiate them and you'll be available for them. We can't force people to meet with us all the time, right? But at the end of the day, when you're trying to build this line of communication, you can initiate it and you can be open and available for it. So you initiate the meeting. You reach out to your boss or your CEO or exec team, right? Or the coworkers or your staff, right? You reach out to them and you let them know, these days I'm available. I'd love to meet with you. Let's say something regular, right? If they don't show, if they cancel, hey, you continue to be available and you continue to initiate. That's a win for you. As long as you do that as a leader, you win. This is how you build a strong foundation. Like I said, some people are not going to be open to it, but you can always circle back to, hey, I've been trying to meet with you. I've been trying to talk with you, right? And you leave this open, right? I fight for this. To me, it's almost a deal breaker. I'll be honest with you. That's how passionate I am about it. I'd have some supervisors before that would tell me they're too busy for things, and it's a deal breaker for me. It's like, I can't be on a team if they can't give me 60 minutes a week. I can't. Like, what? How can I lead? How can they expect me to lead at my best if I can't sit with them for 60 minutes undivided attention? Right? That's how important it is for me. You choose the level of importance for yourself. I want to give you a 4-step process on what happens in this meeting, right? I want to give you what I use in a meeting and what I coach and lead people through to have effective one-on-one meetings. And the first point is consistency. You want to make sure it's consistent. You want to make sure it's not just, one meeting and then the next time it's forgotten. Stay consistent. Weekly is the best for me. And I tell people, have it weekly. Set 60 minutes. That's what I do. If it goes shorter, you can end shorter. But don't go over that, but just set the 60 minutes, right? Set the 60 minutes, keep it consistent every week. And if things change, like you got to flex in a week. This week I had to change one that I have a consistent meeting with, but that happens some weeks. And if you have to do it, you adjust and you come right back. Consistency is the biggest thing in these meetings. The second point, you want to honor and you want to respect their time. They're busy. They have a lot of things to do. They're thinking about tasks. They're thinking about the projects that have to get done, right? So honor that time. Set a timer. I set a timer so I don't forget, because if we're talking and we're going through things, so I'll set a timer for 45 minutes and I'll set another timer for 50. It's going to give me 2 heads up when we're coming closer to 60 minutes, right? It's going to give us time to kind of close the thought a little rather than just stopping abruptly at the end. So I set a timer on my phone and I let them know, hey, I want to honor your time. Are you still good for 60 minutes? You are? Okay, I'll set my quick timer really quickly. That way I can honor your time, and let's go ahead, right? So the third point is you want to focus on the person, not the project. Don't jump in a meeting and go straight to the task. Don't do that. Even if you're coming into the meeting and your boss is trying to get answers, don't do that. You don't know where they're coming from. You don't know what meeting they're coming from, what phone call they got. There's a concept I was first taught that's been really effective, and it's called the meeting before the meeting, right? You want to have a meeting before you have the meeting, right? You want to leave room for margin in the beginning to catch up, to see where we're going, to kind of feel out the pace, right? Are we diving into strategy today? Or are we just talking and catching up? Is it a tough season in your life? Like, where are we at? Like who are you talking to today, right? Are they super focused today? Are they kind of all over the place, right? Have a meeting before the meeting, and that helps you have an effective meeting, right? Rather than going and nailing out 20 objectives and they don't even retain 2. How effective was that? Not effective at all. So figuring out, right, where are they at? Where is this person at? It's a meeting before the meeting. Once again, I said that the point is focus on the person, not on the project. You'll cover the project, right? But at the end of the day, you're talking to a person. You see, leadership is all about connecting with people. That's really what it is. The better you know how to connect with people, the better and stronger your influence is with people. And when you have good character and good heart, you influence them for better. You influence them for good. You see, so once again, the third point is focus on the person, not on the project. Now, there'll be those meetings and there'll be some people that you talk to that they don't need a lot of people time. You jump in a meeting and they're ready to jump in strategy and you go with it. All right, boom. You picked up on the pace, remember? You felt it out. Like, oh, they want to jump right in on, okay, let's go. Okay. And you jump right into that. That's fine because you took a time to focus on the person, not on a project. You picked up on a pace and you jump right into it. Here's the last point. Last point is this: never ever leave a meeting, never ever close a meeting without Bam Fam. What did you say, Paul Keller? I'm gonna say it again. Never end a meeting or never leave a meeting without Bam Fam. Bam Fam was what one of my first mentors taught me, and basically it's an acronym for book a meeting from a meeting. Bam Fam. I'll say it again. Book a meeting from a meeting. So don't ever end a meeting and say, okay, we'll get back to that at some time and we'll set under. No. When are we meeting next? Next week, Monday, same time, 2:00. Can you do it? Yep. Okay. Put in my schedule, locked in. We're good to go. Well, you can't do Monday. Okay. How's your Tuesday? Tuesday, no. Wednesday, no. And you book a meeting from the meeting. This helps you stay consistent. This helps you communicate to the person that they are important. This helps you communicate to the person that this meeting is important, right? This helps communicate to the person that you take this time very importantly. Book a meeting from a meeting. That's why I had the timer. Remember I told you about the timer? That's why I had that go off at 45 minutes or 50 minutes. Because once I hear that, I start to close the thought and then I bam fam. I say, okay, when are we meeting again? And we set it right there. Going through email and going through all that stuff is going to be chaotic. They're going to jump in. There'll be 200 emails. You have to dig in. They're going to miss yours. You won't have a meeting for 5 weeks. And then you got people problems, which isn't people problems. It's communication problems. And the cycle continues again. My heart is that you don't have to go through that cycle because you'll learn that there's a power in really understanding how to get really good at one-on-one meetings. This is where you start. The person that can sit there and run an effective staff meeting is the person that is invested in the one-on-one meetings. That's it. I would say this is even more important than having staff meeting every week. If you had staff meeting once a month, but you had your one-on-one meetings every week, your lines of communication will be crystal clear. That's how important it is. But how many organizations have staff meeting all the time? And when it comes to one-on-one meetings, they toss it on the side and they make excuses, right? You'll see that those organizations seem to have a lot of communication problems, right? Prove me wrong on this. Prove me wrong. I'm going to tell you right now, I've seen it over and over again. So once again, let's recap. The absolutely best meetings that you can have is strengthening your first line of communication. And how you do that is your one-to-one meetings, your one-on-one meetings. One-on-one meetings is your first line of communication. This is your boss, your executive team, your CEO, your stakeholders, right? These are people that have a bit more responsibility than you have, and people that you report to, right? Also, this is your coworkers, right? When do you meet with them? It can be a small meeting, but when do you meet with them? One-on-one time, when you're meeting that. And then it's your staff, then it's your volunteers, or it could be your customers or your clients, right? This is people that report to you. That's your first line of communication. That's what you strengthen. The 4 points I gave you to make these meetings more powerful is to have it be consistent. The next thing is to honor and respect the time. The next thing is to focus on the person, not on the project. And the final, say with me, 1, 2, 3, bam, fam. Bam, fam. Book a meeting from a meeting. Well, let's book a meeting from this meeting. The next time we're going to connect here with the podcast is next week, Thursday. Every Thursday, we release episodes here with Leader Seeds Podcast, delivering high impact and healthy leadership principles, because we understand that the leaders that can see success in the seeds of their development is the leaders that don't just hope for the harvest, but they secure the harvest, because they understand that the fruit, the prize, the success is already in the seed. Thanks for joining us on today's episode. You can go ahead and connect and listen to the other episodes. There's a bunch of the episodes all on our website. Just go to leaderseedspodcast.com. Enjoy a bunch of great resources there. Leave a review and share with a friend to go out there and help us continue to reach more people with high impact and healthy leadership. My name is Paul Mossman, your leadership speaker, your executive coach, and right here, your podcast host. Until next week, when we talk again, keep believing, keep building, and keep on serving. We'll talk again soon.